If you haven't guessed it, I want to talk about mimics in the modern day and age. Hello everyone, and welcome back down here to the Gamer's Den with me, your host, Jordan, your master of lore and storyteller extraordinaire, here with the quick tips for DMs talking about how to use and implement mimics in the modern day and age. And of course, this is being done to kind of help fill the gaps while I wait for all the voting and the votes to come trickling in for what mage we are taking a look at. And it's probably going to be the mage, but also it could be the mage or even the wizard. Before we get into everything we have for you today, though, on mimics, if you're new here to the channel, go on down there, hit the subscribe button, and become a regular member here at the Gamer's Den. Or if you've already gone on ahead and listed yourself on just such an incredible roster of legendary heroes, then go on down to hit the like button and share the video far and wide. But now, let's talk about our favorite shape-shifting friends. So, mimics. I think translating them into the modern day and age is probably not all that difficult, especially not with so many memes already out there about it. You know, I laughed, the toaster laughed, I shot the toaster, that whole bit. Or, you know, the idea of mimics taking the shape of different Amazon packages, UPS, the postal service, anything that might be left on the porch that could conceivably consume a cat, a bird, or this family dog. Any of those things would probably work out well enough, but we can still take this a couple of steps further, and we can even take inspiration from our use of the doppelganger as a spy and an information gatherer. Now, some of you might say, wait a minute, mimics aren't exactly super smart. Their basic stat listing has them at an intelligence of 5. That's a -3 penalty to their intelligence overall, so they've got low skill points and everything. And yeah, sure, but we're DMs. We're storytellers. We can rewrite things as we like. And even then, they don't need to be particularly smart, since intelligence 3 and up can understand a language and even eventually speak it. So it would not be beyond the realms of possibility for a mimic to be smart enough to understand some basic, simple instructions like, hey, you need to look like a bookshelf. You're going to carry this with you. You're going to do your best to disguise it, and you are just going to stay there until I come back to collect you. And the mimic just has to take the shape of a bookshelf and carry a bug with them, a wire, something to where they can listen in, and then they can take the shape of just about anything in the office. Well, you know, the bookshelf anyways, because, you know, I was thinking, you know, initially it's like, oh, they could move and change around and be this and that, but no, that would be risky because so many places have video cameras. People have easy access to phones and webcams. Somebody could accidentally see something, and that's not anything you want with a mimic. You don't want to give the game away and make people realize, oh crap, there's something wandering around the office. No, you just want them to be a bookshelf or something innocuous that's not going to be interacted with, because, you know, I've seen some people suggest, oh, you know, they could look like a smartphone and really blend in, but somebody's going to pick up that phone. Somebody's going to make use of it, and we already have to try to adjust and account for the fact that normally mimics have adhesive properties. So they're going to need to take potions that help nullify that. They're going to need to have some way of mitigating their adhesive properties so that way they can blend in better. So that way, if they are, say, a bookshelf, as the first example I threw out there, somebody can set books and office decor on them so that they can come on and off, or office decor, or be something in somebody's house if somebody needs to be spied on more directly in their private dwelling. There are any number of ways you could go about this. You could even have them pose as an art piece, you know, a picture hanging up in a frame. They could take the shape of a picture. And heck, if they're holding still and they can suppress their giggles long enough, somebody could actually paint an incredible portrait on there and then place it up in somebody's office as some sort of decoration, because there's all kinds of corporate espionage you can get up to. Not even just corporate, you know, you can still go with the spy on spy themes. You could even take this down to a very basic level where a mimic is just taking the shape of a trash can, and Maybe on occasion it gets a little bit of a snack out of that. As people replace the bags, it tears a little hole in the bottom, gets a few munchies in while it's on the job. There's any number of ways you could go about that. It's just going to take a little bit of clever thinking and ingenuity on your part, or the player's part if they decide they want to contract them, because really what I'm thinking is that you have a doppelganger who is working with a small team of mimics that can take shapes of various different kinds of implements. They show up at the office, they're like, hey, I got a delivery, I've got this and that for the office on floor 23, also an office on floor 18, and something for the R&D guys too, and they can drop off the mimics in these different places, have them set up in different offices in advantageous positions where they can use whatever wiretaps or mics that they might have on hand and listen in. And the mimic can, easily shape an internal pocket for storing any kind of power sources for long-term surveillance plans. And if it's a place that has offices moving around a lot, how many people are really gonna pay attention to the person that's moving things back and forth? I mean, the wealthy, the powerful, the famous, they have a bad habit of not noticing the help. Nobody really notices or remembers the delivery guy all that much. Nobody really pays that much attention to the lady going from floor to floor dropping off mail. So it's a great way for the doppelganger to blend in and then start bringing mimics into places so that they can start conducting that surveillance, recording, and then collecting later, and gathering everything they need and leaving very few people the wiser, because at least for the assumed setting, most people aren't aware that magic or creatures like this even exist. So it's a very, very good way, I think, of blending them in and finding a role for them beyond just the all-devouring monster. And I know I've used an example like this before, talking about, inns where the mimics can take the shape of different decorations and furniture and really help the place out. But you can apply that here and they'll work very comfortably, especially if you have a large size mimic. I mean, who's going to pay attention to the couch? Who's really going to notice that the couch has gotten moved a couple of times? It was redecorating. I mean, who cares? Or, Sheila from downstairs, or Gary at the front desk there came in and moved things around a little bit, keeping on spicing things up and making the place interesting, adjusting the feng shui of the place. Any number of things like that could easily be a dismissive, out-of-hand explanation. But what do you think? Go on down to the comments below and let me know your thoughts. Did you like today's video? Did you dislike it? Do you have any thoughts and suggestions of your own? Leave them down in the comments below and we'll engage in discussion. And hit that like or dislike button, and remember, if you're new here to the channel, go on down there, hit the subscribe button, and become a regular member here at the Gamers Den. But with all that said, I've been your host, Jordan, your master of lore and storyteller extraordinaire. Thank you all so very much for your time, and you all have yourselves a good night.